rise. 36th District Court, City of Detroit, County of Wayne is now in session. The Honorable Shannon A. Holmes presiding. You be seated and remain quiet.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
With respect to the 130 case, indulge me just for 1 minute. I have a matter from this morning that was Kajavia, and the defendant did come in, and so I want to make sure I give him the opportunity to not have to be arrested over the weekend.
Yes, Your Honor.
The attorney says he's on his way.
Do you need the prosecutor? I'll stand it.
Thank you, Mr. Buckley. And prosecutor said she would stand in. Mr. Buckley, did you see Mr. Buckley? Okay, let's call him. Oh, we need quarter for it. Don't go ahead. Mr. Buckley first, real quick, and then we're ready. Ready on Buckley?
Yes.
Case number 15. This is case number 1561251. The people of the state of Michigan versus Myron Howard Buckley. The defendant is charged with count 1, controlled substance, delivery, manufacture of marijuana. Count 2, weapons, felony firearm. The defendant is a habitual offender, second offense notice, and is present for a probable cause.
Okay, good afternoon, your appearance.
Good afternoon. Donald Logan on behalf of the people.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Cliff Wooders on behalf of Mr. Buckley.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Buckley.
Good afternoon.
Okay, this matter was on my morning docket, and it was Kajavia's. Mr. Buckley, you were across the street at 36th District Court. Unfortunately, Mr. Wooders, the paperwork still indicates the Madison Street address, and so it's my understanding they're working on tweaking that with the paperwork. And so I am going to set aside the Kajavia's. I'll reinstate your prior bond. I do have the probable cause form that was filled out by the people. Mr. Wooders, do you have discovery?
Not yet.
Okay, make sure that you get it. The people have identified 4 witnesses that they plan to call for purposes of examination. This exam should be scheduled for the 26th of February. However, I know that there is a scheduling conflict with Mr. Wooders. Place that on the record. Also establish that your client is willing to waive his statutory time period so that you can be here to conduct the examination.
Thank you, Mr. Buckley. You and I did have a conversation with regards to my availability. Is that correct? And you do understand that you have a statutory right to have this exam within 5 to 7 days of today's date. Is that correct? And are you willing to adjourn that exam from the 26th until March 1st so that I can be present? Satisfied now?
I'm satisfied. Any objection from the people?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, then the matter will be scheduled for, I believe the date was March 1st.
Yes, that's
And
correct.
we'll schedule it for 9:30 a.m. Please make sure that the people's witnesses are notified of the new date and time.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you,
Okay,
Judge.
anything else for the people?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else for defendant?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
as soon as the court reporter is finished marking exhibits, we'll be ready to call the case.
What? Candidates in our city. She talked. How about Stacey?
Okay.
And she was she didn't make a statement until the 22nd. So she had a long time to do it. And she didn't make a statement until June.
You ready? Okay, you may call the case.
Ready on Maxwell Brack? This is case number 1655922, the people of the state of Michigan versus Maxwell Lomax Brack. The defendant is charged with count 1, homicide, open murder, statutory short form. The defendant is present for examination.
Okay, good afternoon, your appearance.
Good afternoon, LaDonna Logan on behalf of the people.
Thank you.
And Ronald Weitzman on behalf of Mr. Brack. Good afternoon, Judge.
Thank you, good afternoon, and good afternoon, Mr. Brack.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Okay, are the people ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor, there is just one issue. I have one witness who is ill. That is Sergeant Michael McGinnis, but I do have the rest of my witnesses.
Okay, so you're indicating this will be a hold-in part, and you'll need to call that witness if at the end of your proofs you're not able to get into the record what you need?
That is correct.
Okay, then please make sure that the parties have decided on an alternative date in the event that you're not able to get everything in on today.
Yes, ma'am.
And hopefully that alternative date will be Monday, February 22nd. Thank you. All right. Any other preliminary matters for my consideration?
No, Your Honor.
Do we have a sequestration of any kind? Do we need that?
Yes.
Okay, mutual order of sequestration. Do we need an exception for the officer in charge?
I would ask for one, Your Honor.
I need to speak to some people who are here and excuse one of them and retain the rest, because they won't be implicated in being a witness.
Okay, Madam Prosecutor, Ms. Logan, were you aware that there may be some potential witnesses here today? If they are here, I do, even though you're going to excuse them, I do want to place their names on the record so that they will not be able to testify in today's proceeding or any future proceeding.
Understood. And if you'd give me just a moment with them, thank you.
Absolutely.
Your Honor, we are going to put on the record the names of 3 individuals who will not, in any event, testify in the case, and we would ask that they be permitted to stay. Their names can be given.
Okay, please stand and give me your name.
State.
My name is Candace Nelson Autry.
Autry?
A-N-D-A-C-E, Nelson, N-E-L-S-O-N-hyphen-A-U-T-R-E-Y.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nelson Autry. Ma'am, please, your name?
My name is Tiana Brack.
I'm sorry?
Tiana Brack.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Brack.
Stacy Davis.
And thank you, Ms. Davis. Okay, are there any other individuals who may be asked to testify on today or at a future proceeding that the court needs to be made aware of?
None to the people, Your Honor.
Mr. Weitzman?
We are asking the grandmother to be excused pursuant to the sequestration.
Who's the grandmother?
Ernestine.
Ma'am, please tell me your name.
It's Ernestine
Last name?
Brack.
Ms. Brack. Okay. So the defense attorney has indicated that you may be called to testify during a future proceeding, so you will not be able to join us on today. So you are excused. You have to exit the courtroom. Okay.
Just for completeness, Your Honor, there was a witness, a potential witness, that we spoke to earlier before the court began. There was a possibility that we were going to call that witness to preserve testimony. She has left this area, and I don't know where she is. And
Tell me her name.
And I don't remember her name. Yale Madden.
Okay.
Yale or Gale?
Yale, with a Y.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
All right, and Ms. Madden is not in the courtroom at this time, is that correct? Okay, thank you. Okay, if no other preliminary matters, the sequestration order is in place. The exception is granted for the officer in charge.
Thank you.
If nothing else, the people may call their first witness.
At this time, Your Honor, the people will call Dr. Lokman Sung.
This is the last name again?
Sung, S-U-N-G.
Thank you. Let me have both of the attorneys approach just very quickly.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Sung, if you could pull that microphone in as closely as possible. Speak loudly so that I'm able to hear everything you're saying today, okay?
Yes.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you state your name, please?
My name is Lokman Sung.
And where do you work, sir?
I'm an assistant medical examiner at the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office.
And how long have you worked at the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office?
Approximately 9 years.
And do you have any specialized education and training for what you do at the Medical Examiner's Office?
Yes, my medical school training was from Wayne State University School of Medicine. After completion of medical school, I performed a 4-year anatomic and clinical pathology residency at William Beaumont Hospital in Royal Oak. After residency, I performed a 1-year fellowship in forensic pathology at the medical examiner's office. And upon completion of that fellowship, I was retained as an assistant medical examiner. I currently hold my board certifications in anatomic and forensic pathology.
And during your tenure as an assistant Wayne County Medical Examiner, have you performed postmortem examinations?
Yes,
Approximately how many?
approximately 3,500.
And have you ever been called to testify regarding your findings during your examinations?
Yes,
And have you been declared an expert?
yes,
Approximately how many times, sir?
approximately 140.
Has there ever been a time when you've testified that you have not been declared an expert?
Once during my training period, but never as an assistant medical examiner.
At this time, the people would move to have Dr. Lokman's son declared an expert in the area of forensic pathology.
Okay, counsel.
We stipulate to that, for example, Mrs. Chair.
Okay, thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Dr. Sung, on December 15, 2015, did you perform a postmortem examination on one Kajavia Globe?
Yes,
And did you place your findings in a report?
yes.
Could you please tell us what the report number is?
The number is 15-13802.
Permission to approach, Your Honor.
Yes, you may. Let the record reflect counsel is showing defense counsel what she's approaching with.
Dr. Sung, I'm going to hand you what has been marked as proposed Exhibit 1. Could you please tell me what that document is?
proposed Exhibit 1 is a copy of the autopsy report that I generated for this autopsy. It also includes a body diagram and the toxicology report for this autopsy.
People would move to admit proposed Exhibit 1.
Any objection?
No objection.
Thank you. It's admitted.
Now, Dr. Song, could you please just in general explain to us what a postmortem examination consists of?
The postmortem examination has multiple parts. One of the parts is the autopsy. In the autopsy, that itself has multiple components. The first part is the external examination. That's where the entire body is looked at in the unclosed state for any injuries and or diseases that are evident externally. After that is performed, we photograph any injuries that are noted and also x-ray the entire body. After the external examination, we move towards the internal examination. That's where I look at all of the organs, including the brain of the body, both on the surface and inside each organ, once again looking for any diseases and or injuries. Another part of the entire examination is review of pertinent medical information, scene information, and interpretation of toxicology results.
And did you do all of these things with regards to this postmortem examination?
Yes.
And how exactly did you receive the body of Ms. Kajavia Globe?
Ms. Globe's body was brought into our office within or inside a garbage bin.
And did you conduct an external examination?
Yes.
Did you note any injuries?
Yes. There was a laceration or a tear in the skin on the left outer surface of the eye, and also there was bruising to the labia minora.
Did you note any other injuries during your external examination?
No.
Did you conduct an internal examination?
Yes.
And what did you note of any significance?
There were no injuries to any of the organs within the body.
And just for purposes of the record, do you get biographical information like age?
Yes.
How old was Ms. Globe at the time of her death?
She was reported to be 24 years of age.
And after you did the internal examination, did you review any medical records?
No.
Okay. What about the toxicology? Did you find anything of note in the toxicology?
There was nothing that contributed to her death.
Was there anything in the toxicology?
Yes, there was.
And what was that?
There were 3 compounds that were positive. The first one being alcohol. Second positive, although not confirmed, was beta-phenylethylamine. And then the last one, caffeine.
And what is beta-phenylethylamine?
Beta-phenylethylamine is a compound that can be found in many things, such as chocolate and or diet modification or diet drugs. In this case, it was positive, however, not confirmed.
And so those 3 substances were found in the toxicology report, but you're saying they did not contribute to her death?
Correct.
Were you able to determine a cause of death?
No.
What were you able to rule anything out?
Yes, I was able to rule out any injury to the body. I ruled out any natural disease processes within her body.
And were you able to determine a manner of death?
Yes.
And what was that?
The manner is classified as homicide.
And how is it that you can classify it as homicide without being able to determine a cause of death?
The determination of manner is based on specific criteria, and those criteria are outlined in published references. And those criteria are, first, that there was a obvious... May I refer to my notations?
Will that refresh your memory?
Yes, it will.
Please do so.
First, there was objective suspicious nature of the death. In this case, the body was hidden from view. Second, there was no anatomic causes of death. Third, there were no toxicologic causes of death. Fourth, there was no reported environmental causes that would have resulted in death, such as toxic gases or extreme temperature changes. And then the last or fifth criteria is that there is no other reasonable cause of death.
Now, when you say you ran a toxicology screen, is this just a basic screen?
We ran an expanded panel and then also an expert panel on the fluids recovered from her body. And that means in general, we cover approximately 150 or 160 different drugs.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, cross-examination.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Dr. Sung.
Good afternoon.
When the body came into the medical examiner's office, it was still contained in the container, is that right?
Yes.
Could you describe that container for us, please?
The outside of the container, well, the container itself was a black plastic garbage bin, approximately one of the 55-gallon size bins. I can't say that specifically. There was some numbers on the front of the bin, and
Were they serial numbers or address numbers? Do you know which?
I believe they were address numbers, though I did not confirm the address.
And did you notate in any way what those address numbers were, assuming they were address numbers?
Yes, I placed it in my autopsy report.
And it would be in the report Exhibit 1?
Yes.
Okay. Did you photograph that container?
Yes.
Did the container have wheels?
Yes.
Operational? Do you know?
Yes.
Did you wheel the container?
I
at all?
did not, but I observed it being wheeled into our office.
Who wheeled it into the office? Did you notate that?
I did not make notation of that.
Do you know how much the container with the body weighed?
No.
Was that weighed at all?
No.
Her body was weighed, however.
Yes.
And what did her body weigh from your examination?
It weighed 170 pounds.
Was there other material in the container?
There was some debris or garbage in the bottom of the container.
Debris or garbage in the bottom of the container. Anything on top of the body that you saw?
Encircling the body was a red rope, but I did not observe anything on top of the body.
Did that red rope encircling the body have anything to do with the cause of death as far as you're concerned?
It goes toward the first criteria. The body was hidden from view, and there was binding around once again, the top portion of the body.
You don't know what circumstances were active or operational at the time that red rope was placed around the waist of Ms. Globe, do you?
I do not.
And was there any evidence taken from the rope? DNA evidence, blood evidence, any kind of other evidence?
I have no comment on that. The rope itself was released under chain of custody to the police.
She was not strangled with that rope or anything like that, because there would have been markings on her body, correct?
There was no evidence of strangulation.
Okay. And no evidence that rope was used to bring about her death?
That I cannot comment on.
Have no opinion to offer on that?
That's correct.
Okay. The injuries that you saw, the physical injuries, if I understand them, were a laceration or a small tear above the left eye. Is that something that could have happened when the body was put into the bin?
That is a possibility.
Okay. But that was not a significant wound?
Correct.
And there was a bruise, you said, on the labia minora?
There was bruising to both of the labia minora.
Anything about those that seemed like an assaultive type injury that you would characterize that as?
It's described simply as bruising, not anything more than that.
And you don't know anything at all about the circumstances of Ms. Globe's death?
Correct.
Do you know when the body was found?
It was found on December 14th, I believe.
And that was a Sunday?
I don't know the day of the week that was, just the date.
Do you know when the body was, do you have any opinion about when the body was placed in the container?
No.
Of course, no idea of who placed the body in the container. You have no opinion about that.
That's correct.
Okay. The body in the container, you say it was secreted or secreted in that. That's your opinion of the reason that it was in the container. It was being secreted. The body was being secreted.
It was hidden from view.
Hidden from view. And is that not the principal reason that you come to the conclusion that it was homicide?
No.
What is the principal reason?
There are 5, as I mentioned before.
Okay.
That is one of the 5.
There's no anatomic cause of death. We went over that. There was nothing on the body that was anatomically a cause of her death.
Correct.
Correct. And there was nothing toxicological that could be determined to be a cause or related to her death.
Correct.
All right. The environmental, when you say environmental factors, what are you meaning? Like a fall or being hit by a car, that sort of thing that you're eliminating?
No. To give some examples.
Sure.
If there was a toxic or noxious gas in the air, if there was radiation exposure, or if the body was trapped underneath a heavy object that prevented one from breathing, those would be environmental circumstances.
I see. And besides environmental, nothing in her history, her medical history, which I take it you reviewed.
Briefly, but
briefly.
Correct. There were no significant disease processes brought to my attention.
Okay. There is no evidence of asphyxia, is there?
That's correct.
As a hypothetical matter, the body Ms. Globe could have died of natural causes and then been put into the container to be hidden for whatever reason. That is consistent with your views, isn't it?
If you present me with some natural causes, I can generate an opinion for you.
But there would be, as a more general matter, natural causes might well have occurred that would have caused her death, and then subsequent to that, she was placed in that container. That's a physically consistent proposition, is it not?
As I mentioned, there were no natural disease processes in the organs of her body that would have contributed to death.
And of course, we said you don't know who placed her in that container. I want to return just briefly to the subject of there's no more specific cause of death, or a more specific cause of death cannot be postulated or expressed. Is that correct?
Without additional information, not currently.
That she was hidden. Hidden is a characterization of somebody being found in a bin, deceased. Wouldn't you say?
I agree.
They're sort of co-equivalent phrases. If you're dead and found in a bin, a garbage bin, then it may well be homicide.
As I mentioned, there are 5 criteria for determination of the manner of homicide in this case.
When you say homicide, you mean a killing of one human being by another human being.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Just one second. Thank you. Can you describe, or have you an opinion about the manner in which the body was placed in the bin, how that would have occurred with a woman of 175 pounds or so.
She was placed knees first into the bin. That was how she was placed in, because that's how her body was removed from within the bin.
When the body was removed from the bin, she was in a knees toward the bottom of the bin.
Yes.
Slouched forward,
Correct.
head down, head neck down,
Slightly.
arms in what position?
Arms were flexed.
But not stiff. At that point, rigor had passed.
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, you may redirect.
Very briefly.
Doctor, are there any forms of asphyxia that do not leave external or internal injuries?
Yes. In fact, many forms of asphyxia may not leave any external or internal signs of injury, such as suffocation, where the airway is blocked, preventing air from getting into the lungs.
Nothing further.
Okay, thank you,
Can
Doctor.
might I just follow up on that point? The asphyxia question that was last.
Yes, just one question. Go ahead, Counsel.
Thank you. Give me a second then to formulate it, actually. You're not offering an opinion, are you, that asphyxia was the cause of death here, are you?
I'm not. I'm illustrating that it is a possibility.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sung. You are excused.
Thank you.
People may call their next witness.
At this time, the people will call Ms. Alondriana Burns, excuse me.
Burns.
Gurn.
Burns. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You may be seated.
Okay, good afternoon, Ms. Burns.
Hi.
Please pull the microphone in as closely as possible. Speak directly into it so that I can hear everything you're saying today, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you state your name, please?
Alondriana Burns,
And how old are you, ma'am?
23.
Do you know someone by the name of Kajavia Globe?
Yes, I do.
And who is that to
Keep your
you?
voices up for me, please.
My sister.
On December 12, 2015, did you go to the Detroit Police Department?
Yes.
And why did you go there, ma'am?
Because my sister did not return home.
And you have to say her name.
Kajavia did not return home.
Now, did you and Miss Globe live together?
No.
How did you know she didn't return home?
Her living boyfriend called me to let me know that she was missing.
Now, is this rare that she would not return home for the night?
No. She always come home.
Did you try calling her on the phone?
Yes.
Did Miss Globe return the call?
No.
And is that unusual?
Very.
So, you reported her missing on December 12, 2015, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And did you give the police officer the vehicle description?
Yes, I did.
And what kind of vehicle did you last see Miss Globe in?
A 2003 gold Chevy Impala.
And did you happen to know what the license plate was?
Not offhand, I didn't know.
But you said it was a 2003 gold Chevy Impala?
Yes.
And how old was your sister at the time she went missing?
24.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Cross-examination.
December 12 was a Saturday, correct?
Yes.
And when was the last time you saw your sister, Kajavia?
The last time I saw her was via FaceTime Friday morning around 7:20, she FaceTimed me.
FaceTime meaning on the telephone?
Yes.
FaceTime. Not in person?
No.
And what was that date again?
The 11th.
The
December
11th.
the 11th, 2015.
She FaceTimed you. About what time of the day was that?
About 7 o'clock a.m.
Anything alarm you about that FaceTime message?
No. We was discussing her hair.
Her hair?
Yes.
She was going to have it done or something?
She just got it done that night. It was fresh, new.
Okay. And do you know where she was going?
Work.
She was going to work, and where did she work?
Minix in Farmington Hills, if I'm not mistaken.
How was she getting there?
Driving.
She was driving herself?
Yes.
Do you know what car she was driving?
The 2003 Chevy Impala.
Had you been in that car often?
Yes, it was my car.
It was your car, that is registered under your name?
Yes.
Are you the one who is usually the driver of that car, or does she use it for work?
She used it. I gave it to her approximately September 2015 to have.
Title transferred and all of that?
No.
You said it was what time of the day on the 11th when you last heard from her?
7 a.m.
7 a.m. You don't know when she got into trouble or went missing, do you? You don't know what time of day that was?
No.
You don't know what happened to her, do you?
No.
You didn't see anyone do anything to her, did you?
No.
You knew she had a boyfriend, Mr. Brack, at one time, didn't you?
Yes.
All right. And they had a dating and sexual relationship as far as you knew?
Yes.
Okay. She also had such a relationship with Mr. Black, Joe Black?
Yes, that was her current boyfriend
And where did they live?
in Lathrop Village.
They lived together at Lathrop Village? At a home in Lathrop Village?
Yes.
How long had they been living at that home in Lathrop Village together?
I'm not sure the exact date she came to his house because it's his home, so I'm not sure.
What kind of car does he drive?
I'm not sure.
Mercedes, ring a bell?
Yeah.
You don't know what year or anything? do you?
No.
Do you know when he saw her last? Do you have any idea of that?
He who?
He, Mr. Black, Joe Black.
No, I do not know.
What were the facts that prompted you, or when did you actually call the police to tell them that you thought your sister was missing?
I walked into the police station on
Yeah.
the 12th around noon, 11. It was earlier in the day. I walked there. I didn't call.
And how long, and when you went there, how long before you walked in around noon to the precinct, how long before that had you decided that you needed to go to the police and make a report?
I got the call she was missing around 12 a.m. I knew I had to call the police about 1 o'clock in the morning, but it wasn't long enough. I knew you guys were going to turn me around because it wasn't
You knew
long
what?
enough.
You
The
knew-
police station was going to turn me around because she wasn't gone long enough.
In other words, they weren't going to act on it if she was only gone for an hour, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And you knew that?
Yes.
Okay. Who told you? I understood from your last answer, it sounds like somebody told you she was missing. Was that Mr. Black who said she?
Yes.
All right. You didn't formulate your own opinion that she was missing based on your observations or anything, did you?
No, she don't live with me, so I don't know if she'll be sleeping.
So that notion or that idea that she was missing came to you from Mr. Black in a phone call from Mr. Black to you?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you get that phone call from Mr. Black?
About 12 a.m. So that date switched over to the 11th, which is Friday.
Okay. In other words, late in the night, late in the evening of Friday, around midnight, when it turns into Saturday,
Yes.
is what we're saying.
Mhm.
And then you waited some hours to go to the police, and you told them what you heard.
Yes. Excuse me.
And is that your last? You identified your sister's body.
Yes.
After you made your police report, did you ever see a video in connection with Mr. Brack and your sister?
Yes, that was before the police report.
Before the police report, you saw a video that depicted what?
A sexual encounter with Kajavia and Max.
An apparently consensual or voluntary sexual act between them?
Yes.
It was like a selfie, having sex, right?
Yes.
And do you know who was operating the camera? Wasn't one of
Kajavia.
these guys, huh?
Kajavia.
Kajavia was operating the camera.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Was there more than one of those videos that you saw?
Only one.
Contain one sex act, or were there more than one? Do you remember?
One sex act.
Do you know who sent it to you?
No one sent it to me.
Do you know how you received it? How you got it?
I went, since she was missing, I went into her account, her iPhone account, and that's how it was received.
In other words, you saw it on her iPhone or on her iPhone account?
iPhone account.
On her iPhone account. I'm not all that slick with this. And that's where you saw it?
Yes.
Did you know who sent it to that account? How it got there?
It was in her mailbox, so it came from her phone.
Okay. One second. Was it Mr. Black who told you and suggested to you that you should look for that video of the sex act?
No, he didn't tell me to look for the video.
Did he tell you about the video, that he was aware of such a video?
Yes.
He had apparently seen it before you had.
I directed him to get into her phone account to try to track her iPhone. And he said it was something that I needed to see. So I went to go see.
Do you have any knowledge whether when he said that to you, he had just seen it or he had seen it sometime before?
Just seen it reasonable because it was in her deleted box and he had just opened it up because I was asking for numbers that she had recently dialed that was not saved.
And when did this event happen? What was the date?
The 12th, about 1 a.m.
That's when this conversation about the sex act and the video came to light.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
And you need to read that right. No, you're right. Okay, thank you, Ms. Burns. You are excused. The deputy will tell you how to leave the courtroom.
This time, Your Honor, the people will call Mr. Everett Stafford.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you want to take a date, right? Yeah.
Please raise your right hand. Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You may be seated.
Good afternoon, Mr. Stafford.
Good afternoon.
Please pull the microphone in as closely as possible. Speak directly into it so that I'm able to hear everything you're saying.
Okay.
You may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Could you state your name, please?
Everett Stafford.
And where do you work, sir?
City of Detroit, Advanced Disposal.
And in what capacity do you work for Advanced Disposal?
Supervisor.
And were you working in the area of Fielding and Pickford on December 14, 2015?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were you doing in that area, sir?
I watch the trucks and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, and make sure everything's okay in the area.
Was this trash day?
Yes.
So you have workers out there picking up trash?
Yes.
Now, were you alerted to something by one of your drivers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and do you know about what time that was?
Maybe about 9:30 a.m.
And what were you alerted to, sir?
That there was a body in one of the containers that we service.
Okay, were you given an area of where this container might be?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that?
Fielding between Pickford and 7 Mile.
And what did you do with that information, sir?
I went and researched the information I got, checked all the cans to make sure there was no body.
And when you say you checked all the cans, are these the bins that are on the street that you checked?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you check on both sides?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you find anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay, did you check any of the bins that were on private property?
No.
Okay, and while you were checking these bins, did you see anything that kind of caught your attention?
I saw a gentleman on the porch, and in the area that my employer told me where the can was. I saw a gentleman on the porch, and kind of seemed odd to me. And I wanted to go across and check on private property, but we can't do that. So I had to leave it alone.
Do you remember what kind of house this was where you saw the gentleman? What color it was?
The house was yellow.
Okay. Could you tell whether or not this was a vacant or an occupied house?
Not as I recall.
Okay. And what was he doing? Just standing on
I
the
didn't
porch?
understand that answer. When he said, not as I can recall, I'm not sure whether...
I'm not certain what you're
I'm sorry. When he said, not as I can recall, I didn't know whether he meant vacant or not vacant.
He does not even recall.
He doesn't recall whether it was vacant or not vacant. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. Your
Yes.
next question?
Thank you. And what was this gentleman doing on the porch?
He was standing there with his hands in his pocket, and he looked at me, and I looked at him. And that was about the extent of it.
Did he say anything?
No.
And was he still out there as you were going through the cans?
Yes.
Now, can you give us a description of this person?
Somewhat. He was a little dark complected. He had a beard, a trimmed beard, black skull cap on, black Carhartt.
Could you tell if he had a thin, a medium, or a thick build?
He had a medium to a thick build.
And would you recognize him if you saw him again?
Probably not. Only thing I can remember is the beard was full beard, trimmed up. That's the only thing.
So it was neat.
Yeah.
Now, after you checked the bins and you didn't find anything, what did you do, sir?
I proceeded to do my my daily duties, and it kind of stuck with me. And a few hours later, one of my drivers got sick and went home, so I got on his truck and finished his route. And with it still on my mind, I saw the police over on Chatham, and I happened to stop and talk to one of the officers and tell them about the ordeal I had just went through.
Okay, so you told them about the information that you had received,
Right.
as well as you looking through the bins?
Right.
Do you know about how far Fielding is from Chatham?
Ooh, man, probably a couple of miles.
And you relayed that information to the police, correct?
Yes, I did.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, cross-examination.
Thank you. When you're out like that doing your tour of duty,
Mm-hmm.
and when did you start that day? I guess I should ask you that.
What time did I start work?
Yes.
6 a.m.
6 a.m., and we're talking about the 12th of December. Is that the date? 13th, 12th?
I thought it was the 14th.
14th,
Yeah.
14th of December. And are you driving a truck, one of the waste management trucks, or are you in an automobile?
I am in a pickup truck.
Pickup truck.
Yes.
Does that pickup truck also pick up trash? Is it
No.
used for that purpose?
No, sir.
It's strictly as a scouting vehicle.
Surveying, yes.
Surveying. And who did you get a call from?
One of my employees.
Who is that? What is that person's name?
Do we have to use her name? Her name, can we use her name? Miss Lewis.
Ebony Lewis.
Yeah.
Okay. Did she say somebody told her things, or did she tell you what she observed?
She told me someone told her things.
That they observed?
Yeah, that's fair to say, yeah.
Did she observe a body in the bin?
No, she never went to the street because she expressed to me if there's a body, she's not going on that block. She
Understood.
don't want to discover it.
Right. She doesn't want anything to do with that.
Right.
And she's reporting what somebody reported to her.
Yes.
And you, when you get this message, you're a couple of miles away from the Fielding Pickford area.
That's correct.
Do you go over to the Fielding Pickford area?
That's correct.
When do you go?
I usually get over there about 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock.
That was a day in which there was trash or garbage. Is it trash or garbage? Is it or both?
Trash. We call it
Trash.
trash, yeah.
Trash pickup on Fielding Street that day.
That's correct.
Both sides?
That's correct.
Are there trash bins on both sides?
That's correct.
Are they uniform bins? Uniform in the sense that they are the same?
That's correct.
Are they from your company, or how are they supplied?
From my company. Some were issued from the city of Detroit.
Okay. Do they all have the address of the home that they are associated with on them?
No.
Should they? Are they supposed to?
No, there's no, there's
No
nothing
requirement?
saying, yeah, there's nothing saying they have to have their address on it.
But some do.
Some do.
Did you photograph any of the, or record any of the bins that were out on the street on Fielding?
No, I did not.
Was pickup on both sides of the street, the east and west side of Fielding?
That's correct.
Do you recall whether there was a bin on the west side of the street at 18541?
No, I don't recall that address in particular.
When you went down Fielding, did you have an idea what the address of the home where the bins you were interested in were located? Did
I
you have
had no
any-
idea.
You had no idea.
No.
So did you go down the block and go through every bin?
Yeah, I flipped the lids up going down the street.
Every bin that was located at the curb,
Correct.
on both sides of the street.
Correct.
And in none of them did you find what we're here talking about today.
Correct.
Did you look into the other parts of the properties to see whether there were any other bins around?
No. Again, we can't cross the city sidewalks to retrieve a trash bin. We can't go across the sidewalk.
All right. And so when you were there at that time, you had not uncovered a body
That's correct.
in any bin.
That's correct.
But during that time that you hadn't uncovered a body in a bin, you saw a man on a porch.
That's correct.
And that man on the porch, what was he doing on the porch?
He was just standing there.
Just standing there.
Yeah.
Did he come off the porch while you were there?
No, he did not.
Did he do anything threatening or anything toward you?
No.
How long did this interface between your looking in his direction go?
Maybe about 10, 15 seconds.
Just a few seconds.
Yeah.
And then you pulled away in your truck.
That's correct.
And then what happened? Where did you go after that?
Once again, I had continued to survey, go through the area, had an employee get sick and go home, took over his truck and went over to the Chatham area and started to dump cans.
Okay. And is that your last involvement in this matter? When you went over to the Chatham area?
No, then I saw the police and talked to them
Where did you see the police? On Chatham?
on Chatham.
And you talked to them about what you were doing and what you had heard?
Correct.
And then what did you do after you had that conversation?
I continued to dump trash bins at the end of the shift. I took the truck back to the facility.
And that was in the truck of the man who got sick?
Correct.
Okay. And where did you leave your pickup?
At the yard. At the yard.
In other words, the man who got sick, you had to meet him over at the yard?
That's correct.
Swapped out your vehicle?
That's correct.
Took his, went back to the area?
Right.
Finished your day's work?
That's correct.
And that was the end of your work day for that
That
day?
was the end of my shift, yeah.
And you had no further involvement in this matter?
No.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, any reason Brack?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Stafford. You are excused. The deputy will tell you how to leave the courtroom.
Okay.
Your next witness?
This time the people will call Ms. Tina Morrell.
Hmm? Yeah, next Thursday would be very good. Or Friday. Okay. That'd be great.
Please raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may proceed.
Okay, good afternoon, Ms. Morrell. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please make sure you pull the microphone in as closely, speak directly into it so that I can hear everything you're saying.
Okay.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you state your name, please?
Tina Morrell?
Do you live on a street called Fielding?
Yes.
Is that in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
And on December 14th, is that your trash, on Mondays, is that your trash day?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm going to refer you specifically to December 14th, 2015. Do you recall that being a Monday?
I'm not sure what the date was.
Well, let's just talk about, I guess, do you remember a trash day in December?
Yes.
Okay, and we're talking about the trash day that brings you here.
Okay.
Do you recall those instances?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you see something that caught your attention outside of your home?
Yes.
What's the first thing that caught your attention?
Well, first of all, it was a nice day. It was pretty warm for December. So I went outside on the porch, just stood on the porch for a minute.
Okay.
Because it was sunny, it was nice outside. That was on a Sunday.
Okay. Okay, and did you see anyone else outside?
Well, just people walking around, and I saw someone take out a trash can.
And did they put it in front of their house or someone else's house?
Across the street at a vacant house.
Okay. Now, when you say across the street, did you see them walk across the street with the bin?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the vacant house, is it on the same side as your house or opposite side as your
The
house?
opposite side.
Okay, so the person who's walking with the bin is walking from your side of the street to the where the vacant house is?
Yes.
Do you recall what color this vacant house is?
Yes, it's yellow.
Do you know how long that house has been vacant?
It's been vacant for a couple of years. I think about 2 years ago someone was there. It was like people in and out. Yeah, it's been about 2 years since it's been vacant.
Now, when you see the person take the trash bin and put it in front of the, well, did they put it in front of the vacant house?
Yes.
Okay. Was it a male or a female?
It was a male.
Okay. Is this someone that you had ever seen before?
Not noticeably, no.
Now, after he puts this bin in front of the yellow vacant house, do you see if he goes anywhere else?
No, he stands there and was on the phone.
And did he just stay there or did he go somewhere else?
No, he stayed there, and that's what really caught your eye because it was unusual. Usually you put your trash can out and
then just keep going?
yeah, but they were on the phone. Whenever someone's on the phone on the street, it kind of catches your eye because it's just something you notice.
And did you ever see him leave the can when it was in front of the vacant house?
At some point he took it and put it in the back of the house and brought it back to the curb, and that was just an unusual thing to do.
Now, when you say he took it and put it in back of the house, is this the house on your side of the street or
No.
that yellow vacant house?
The yellow vacant house.
Okay, and then he brought a trash bin out again?
I'm not sure if it was the same trash can or not.
It's a black Corville bin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But you saw him take one into the back, correct?
Yes.
How long?
It was a few minutes because, and that's what it was, because it was like a lot of, it was back and forth. And it was early afternoon. Usually you don't put your trash can out until 6 or that evening. This was up in the day.
Now, after you see him take the trash bin from the front of the yellow vacant house and go into the back, how long is it before you see him again?
A little bit later on that day.
And is this when he's bringing the bin out from behind the vacant house, or is this a different time?
This was a different time.
Okay. Well, when you see him take the bin in the back and then he comes back out with a bin, how long was that time? How long was he behind the house before you saw him come out with a bin?
That was... I really didn't pay any attention to the time, really, to say that I could pinpoint or something, but it was not,
Were you still outside?
No, not really, because I wasn't standing there, you know, just watching this happen, you know. I wasn't just standing there doing that, you know.
Is it fair to say the movement just kept catching your attention?
Yes.
Okay, but you saw him take a bin into the back, and
Yes.
at some point you saw him return with a bin?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see this man again that day?
Yes.
And was this involved with the yellow vacant house or something else?
Walking down the street.
In which direction?
Towards 7 Mile.
And do you recall being asked to look at 6 photos and seeing if you could recognize anyone?
Yes.
Permission to approach, Your Honor?
Yes, but the record reflects that you're showing defense counsel what you're attempting to approach where.
For purposes of the record, I'm handing you what has been marked as proposed Exhibit 56. Could you please take that? And that's a series of 6 photos. Do you remember being shown those photos, ma'am?
Yes. Yes, I remember being shown these.
Chief Wood moves to admit proposed Exhibit 56.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Then it is admitted.
Thank you. And Ms. Morell, you actually affixed your signature to the photo on page 4, is that correct?
Yes.
Is that the person that you saw dealing with the trash bin?
Yes.
Taking it in front of the yellow vacant house and then moving it to the back and then coming out with a bin?
Yes.
Are you publishing counsel?
I will, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
Thank you. You live on the even side houses or the odd side?
Even.
Even side.
Yes.
Do you live near 18532? Do you know? Do you know how many houses away you are from that?
No, I don't.
It was a nice day.
Yes.
A warmish day.
Yes.
Weather was bright and sunny.
It was sunny.
All right. And it was Sunday.
Yes.
And it was Sunday the 13th, right? Or
I'm
do you
not
know?
sure the date.
You don't know the date?
No, I wasn't looking at it.
Your voice up for me, Ms.
I'm sorry. No, I wasn't aware of the date.
And people sometimes put their trash bins out on Sunday for the Monday pickup.
Yes.
Do they pick up 2 trash bins or 1 when they come by on a Monday? Say you have 2. Do they pick them both up or
Yes.
they only take 1?
Yes, they pick up both.
The man that came outside, he took a trash bin from your side of the street, from the side of the street that you were on,
Yes.
and describe how he, if you can, with some physical gesture, how he took a hold of that canister.
By the handle, and you just pull it, you know, it has the 2 wheels, you just pull
And he
it.
pulled it with one hand. With one hand.
I'm assuming so. I don't remember if it was 2 hands or not.
He didn't struggle with it at all.
Yes, because he slipped at one point.
He slipped on the ground,
Yes.
and then he got up and continued on.
Yeah, it didn't fall or anything, it was just, you know,
He didn't fall, and it didn't fall.
no.
And then he continued with it across the street
Yes.
in the usual fashion, nothing
Yeah.
unusual about the way you'd move any garbage container,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
It didn't appear to you to be over or heavily loaded in any sense that he would struggle with it, did it?
Now that, I didn't pay attention to that, but it could have been, the garbage can could have been heavier because it was tilted. The way he was pulling it, it was tilted more slanted.
But nothing brought your attention to that. Nothing brought your attention to what was in the container when he was moving it. Is that
No.
correct? And he moved it to the front of the other side of the street.
Yes.
Would that be sort of the house directly across the street from where he moved it first?
I'm assuming so, sir.
Okay.
I don't know.
And he stood there for a minute doing what?
On the phone.
Talking on the phone?
Yes.
Was he on the street itself or on the curb or on the other side of the street?
He was on the street.
On the street?
Yes.
In the street?
Yes.
Not in the middle of the street?
No.
About how many feet away from the container?
About as many feet as you were, if that was the garbage can, about where you're at.
In other words, like between me and this?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the garbage can, that's where he was with his phone, yes.
Okay.
Your Honor, just for purposes of the record, when counsel referred to this, he meant the podium.
The podium, I'm sorry,
Okay.
the
That's
podium,
accurate.
that's the garbage can.
Right, so it's within a
Yes.
foot or two.
Yes.
What direction was he facing, do you know?
But facing like you are right there in front of the garbage can.
Was
With
he
the
facing?
handle of the garbage can is on this side where the microphone is.
Yes.
Right there, yes.
Was he facing his side, the side that he came from, the east side of the street, or the west side of the street where the yellow abandoned house was? Do you know?
He was facing, because the garbage can was right on the, right there where the, right between the yellow house and the white house next to it. And the garbage can is right there at the curb.
Okay. Could you hear anything he was saying on the phone?
No.
About how many feet away from him were you?
How many feet? I'm down a couple of houses, at least 3, 4 houses down, on the other side of the street.
And you're not concentrating on him
No.
or anything. You're just seeing
Yeah.
another, you're just seeing a man out on your street fielding.
Yes.
Then what did he do after he stood there for a moment? He went back across the street to his side, the side of the street he came from?
I'm assuming so, because I did go back in the house. Like I said, I wasn't fixated on...
Exactly. And I think that's the point of it. You aren't really putting all your attention on that.
No.
You're out there for a minute, you see what you see, and then you go back in your house.
Yes.
You don't go back in your house and go over to a window and then look out there at what's going on down the street.
I do have a picture window that I sit on the couch and look out of, yes.
Did you do that then?
Yes, but once again, I wasn't fixated on what he was doing, no.
More or less just enjoying the day.
I have a big picture window, that's what I do every day, mostly, when I'm home. And I've observed what goes on in my neighborhood, yes.
Of course, of course. Then what did you do after you were inside?
I'm not sure. When I cook and I was at home from my hospital stay, so I tend to myself basically when I went in the house.
Is that the did you lose contact with him in the sense of losing sight of him and not paying attention to him anymore?
Yes.
Did you see him do anything else?
No.
Just walking towards 7 Mile Road
Yes,
later
later
on?
that day I saw him walking towards 7 Mile.
Is this somebody that you knew from the neighborhood at all?
No.
Had you ever seen him around there before?
Not that I can recollect, no.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor. Your first conversation with the police, your statement to the police, do you remember giving a statement to the police?
Yes.
And that wasn't until January 22nd. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. How come so long?
That I cannot answer. I was hoping that somebody else would say something, or that this would clear up, and then I wouldn't have to, but it's kind of weighed on me that I needed to say something.
Did you talk about any of this with anybody before you went to the police?
Only my husband.
Only your husband?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, any redirect?
Very briefly, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Did you see where the young man came from with the bin?
Only way I know, he came from my side of the street, and it's like about the fourth house from my side of the street. That's where he came from.
Okay, so he didn't walk up to a bin that was already on the street and just move it across the street?
No, not that I know of, no.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You are excused, Ms. Morale.
If I might, Your Honor.
Counsel, we're going to do direct, cross, and redirect. There's nothing new that she's asked with respect to the testimony that this witness has given.
Okay.
So you're excused, Ms. Morale. The
Thank you.
deputies will tell you how to leave the courtroom. Thank you so much. Your next witness.
At this time, the people will call Officer Stephen Dutrick.
Last name?
Dutrick. I'm pretty sure I mispronounced it. It's D-U-D-Z-I-C. He is the partner of Officer Eric Blackwell, who's unavailable.
I see.
Thank you.
Okay.
If McGinnis had a partner,
Huh?
I said if McGinnis had a partner, it could be done.
Ms. Logan, how many more witnesses will the people be calling today?
One.
This is the last witness? Or you have
One in
more?
addition.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure. Who are you calling? Yeah, no. Are you listening to all this back there? Stephen,
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may be seated.
Good afternoon, officer.
One.
Please pull it in closely, speak directly into the microphone so that I'm able to hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Could you state your name, please?
Stephen Dudzik,
And where do you work, sir?
Detroit Police Department.
How long have you been a Detroit police officer?
7 years.
And what's your current assignment?
8th Precinct.
Was that your assignment on December 14, 2014?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you on duty at about 7 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you working alone or with a partner?
With a partner.
And what's your partner's name, sir?
Eric Blackwell,
And were you on patrol or on special assignment?
patrol.
And what were you wearing?
Full uniform.
Okay, as you're dressed now in the blues?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you called to the area of Keeler and Chatham?
Yes.
And was this a police run?
Yes.
What was the nature of the run, sir?
Recovered vehicle, wanted vehicle.
And did you and your partner go to that area?
Yes.
And what did you see, sir?
I observed, can we call a report? What kind of vehicle?
May, Your Honor?
Yes, you may. Please make sure you show it to counsel.
For purposes of the record, I have shown Mr. Weitzman what is CRISNet report .9. It is the officer's report. Please let me know when your memory has been refreshed.
It was to recover a gold 2003 Chevrolet Impala.
And you said this was a wanted vehicle?
Yes, it was actually it was called a recovered vehicle felony. That's the way it was labeled.
And was there something special about this vehicle?
They said it was the last vehicle that...
I'm going to object to
I'm sorry, counsel.
Apologize. I'm objecting to what was said as being hearsay.
Sustained.
What was the license plate on the vehicle?
The license plate was Adam Frank 926.
And what did you do with regards to the vehicle, sir?
We impounded the vehicle. First we called evidence tax, had them come out, and then we searched the area.
Did you ever look in the vehicle to see if there was anything inside of note?
Looked in through the window.
Okay, and what did you see?
I can't recall.
Is it in your report?
I observed red dry smears that appear to be blood in the center console cup holder.
Did you notice anything else inside the vehicle, sir?
Balloons were in the back seat.
What about on the front passenger seat?
I observed a purse on the front passenger seat.
And you stated that you waited for evidence text to arrive?
Yes.
And you searched the area?
Yes.
What were you searching for?
To try to find Miss Globe.
And what area did you search, sir? You know what? Let me step back. The area where this vehicle was located, what kind of area is it?
It's a large field, a lot of vacant homes. There's probably a handful of occupied homes in that area.
Okay, so are you searching vacant homes and fields or just one?
Yes.
And did you find anything?
Nothing.
How long did you search?
Probably around 4 to 5 hours, at least.
And was it just limited to Chatham and Keeler, or did you search other areas?
No, I also searched from Finkel to 6 Mile on the east side of the Rouge River and the west side.
And did you find anything?
Negative.
And what did you do after you completed searching, sir?
I came back to the scene with the vehicle.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I was standing by, waiting for further direction.
Ultimately, did you tow the vehicle?
Yes.
And did you clear the scene?
Yes.
And after you left the scene, where did you go?
I started to do my report at the station.
And at some point in time, did you end up in the area of 18541 Fielding?
Yes.
How did you get over there, sir?
I heard over the radio that they may have possibly found somebody, Miss Globe, so we went over there.
They said they may have found somebody?
I can't recall what it came across on the radio.
What time did you go over to the Fielding location?
I can't recall.
Were you alone or with your partner?
With my partner.
Was it daylight when you got over there?
It was dark out.
And what do you do when you get there, sir?
I just held scene out front.
That's it, Brother Your Honor.
Okay, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Dudzik.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
You went to the location and you saw on, what was the name of the street, the first one you went to? Chatham and
Keeler and Chatham.
All right. And did you observe a vehicle there? Or
Yes.
you remember what kind of vehicle it was?
Yes, it was a gold 2003 Chevrolet Impala.
You're looking at your notes when you say that,
Mhm.
a gold 2003 Impala. Do you have an independent recollection in your mind of seeing that vehicle there that day?
Yes, I remember that vehicle there.
And you looked inside and you saw a purse, you said?
Yes.
Okay. In the front seat or back seat, where was it placed?
It's a front passenger seat.
Was the vehicle locked or unlocked? Do you
I
remember?
can't recall.
You didn't notate that at all?
No.
No. Did you go into the vehicle?
No.
The windows were up or down?
They were up.
Key in the ignition or no?
No.
Not a key around?
I don't recall.
Okay. Was the vehicle parked wheels to the curb in an unusual way?
It was parked wheels to the curb.
And you saw what appeared to be, did you characterize it in your own mind as blood someplace? Or just something dark in color?
It appeared to me to be blood.
It appeared to you to be blood, and you've been a police officer for a while.
Yes, sir.
And was it about how long have you been a police officer?
7 years.
Did it appear to you to be dry or wet? Did you test it in any way?
Appeared to be dry.
Appeared to be dry. No idea how long it had been there or anything?
No, sir.
All right. Or what the manner, nature, reason for its appearance at that location? You don't know anything about that?
No.
No. And then you left that area of Chatham and Keeler. Went
Yes.
back to the station.
Yes, after searching.
After searching, there was a large search done in the Chatham and Keeler area, and then around the Ecorse River, or was it the Rouge River?
Rouge River.
Rouge River. And you're not finding anything in all of that. And then you get a call to go over to Fielding Street.
Yes.
All right. And you go over there, and you're just one of, not just, I don't mean it merely, you're one of the officers standing in protection of the scene on Fielding.
Yes.
Are you actively picking up things and marking them as evidence or doing any of that evidence collection yourself?
No.
Standing with other officers?
Yes.
Talking with other officers?
Yes.
And did you yourself find anything that became, other than the car that you looked at, evidence in this case?
No.
No. Okay. It was dark when you went over to Fielding?
Yes.
One moment. Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, redirect.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. You are excused.
Thank you.
Your
This
last
time the
witness
people
for
will-
today.
Yes, Your Honor. The people will call Officer Eugene Fitzhugh.
Spell the last name, please.
Fitzhugh.
Thank you.
affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may be seated.
Thank you. Pull that microphone in as closely as possible.
All right.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Could you state your name, please?
Certainly. My name is Eugene Fitzhugh,
And where do you work, sir?
City of Detroit as a police officer,
And how long have you been a Detroit police officer?
27 years.
And what is your current assignment?
I'm assigned to what is now called a Crime Scene Services Unit,
And how long have you been a member of the Crime Scene Services Unit?
about 17 years.
And were you on duty December 14, 2015?
Yep.
And were you called to process a scene in the area of Fielding and Clarita in the city of Detroit?
Yes, ma'am.
And could you tell us, were you working alone or with a partner?
No, I have a partner,
Okay. Do you
Michelle
know-
Douglas.
Michelle Douglas?
Right.
Do you know about what time you arrived at that scene?
I can look at my report.
Will that refresh your memory?
Yes, ma'am.
Please do so.
Got to run at 5:25 p.m. and we arrived there at 6:23 p.m.
And what do you see when you get to the scene, sir?
Well, initially when we rolled up, there was a large crowd of onlookers. There were some media trucks and several police cars and officers from Detroit Police Department.
And is this a residential or a commercial area?
It's residential.
Now, where exactly is the scene that you eventually processed?
It was in the rear of a house that had no address, but it was south of, I believe, 18551 Fielding. The house was vacant, boarded up. The front and back of the house was heavily laden with fallen leaves and debris. The backyard was also heavily laden with fallen leaves, tree branches, and other debris.
And do you recall what color this house was?
I think it was green. There's probably a photo around someplace. Either green or yellow. Green or yellow, something. I think it was yellow.
Okay, well, I don't want you to guess.
I think, if I remember correctly, it was vinyl sided and it was yellow.
Okay, well, I'm just going to show you a picture.
Let's clarify the record.
Okay.
I'm with you.
You may approach the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to hand you what has been marked as proposed Exhibit 2. Is that the front of the house of the scene
Yes.
that you ultimately processed?
Correct.
People would move to admit proposed Exhibit 2.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
And what color is that house?
Looks to me to be yellow.
Okay, and from that picture, can you tell if it's an occupied house or a vacant house?
It's vacant.
Okay. And this is on Fielding Street?
Fielding, yes, ma'am.
Now, you stated that the scene, permission to publish Exhibit 2?
Yes. You may publish.
The scene is actually in the rear of this yellow vacant house?
Yes, ma'am, in the backyard.
And is it, you go in the backyard and you immediately see it, or tell us about that stuff?
Well, we got directed to the backyard by Detective Shea, works in the homicide section. We get back there, and as I indicated earlier, the backyard is heavily laden with fallen leaves, debris. We got pointed to a City of Detroit Corville dumpster, which is the dumpster that you put in front of your house with your weekly trash. And inside the dumpster was the body of a female.
And is this dumpster just sitting in the backyard?
Yes. Next to some trees.
Next to some trees?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it in front of the tree, on the
It
side of
would
the
be
tree, or behind the
to
tree?
the northwest of the tree.
If I'm looking in from the street, will I see this dumpster, or is it behind the
No.
tree?
It's going to be, you have to actually walk up to it to see it.
And what is the lighting in this area at this time?
There's no lighting. We used a portable lighting system to illuminate the backyard and our flashlights.
And you said eventually you processed the dumpster and the surrounding scene, correct?
Correct.
Did you open the dumpster?
Yes.
What was inside, sir?
Inside the dumpster was the body of a black female. She appeared to have on a red or orange type sweater. Around her neck was a red or orange, different color red or orange rope. And she appeared to be nude from the waist down. There was a pair of tan boots inside the dumpster. I couldn't tell if they were on her feet or just next to her feet.
Keep your voice up for me so I can hear you all the way through. Thank you.
Okay.
Now, could you tell us if the black female was in head first or feet first?
Feet first.
Was there anything else in the bin?
I'm sorry?
Was there anything else in the bin?
You mean in the dumpster?
Yes.
Just the body. On top of the body, there was a plastic bag which appeared to contain some fiberfill material. On the outside of the lip of the dumpster, there was a small quantity of what appeared to be human hair.
And did you take anything into evidence at this scene?
No. I mean, we did. We took the whole dumpster
Okay.
as it was.
And while you're still on Fielding, do you process a second scene?
Yes.
And where is that?
Across the street. I believe the address, if I can refer to my report, please.
If that will refresh your memory?
I'm sorry, 18532 Fielding.
Now, is this directly across the street or across the street and down some houses?
It would be across the street and slightly south.
And is this an occupied house or a vacant house?
Yes, it is.
Do you just process the outside, or do you actually go in?
We actually
Hold
go...
on 1 second, officer. You'll have to wait until prosecutor completely finishes her question before you start answering. Otherwise, the court reporter can't record both individuals at the same time.
Okay.
Pardon my interruption. Your question.
Thank you. Do you process the outside of 18532, or do you go inside?
We actually went into the home.
Okay. And what, if anything, inside of 18532 did you note was of interest?
Well, there was plastic bags, clear plastic bags similar to what was in the dumpster. In the basement, there was, I guess, a fiber material that was similar to what appeared to be in a plastic bag inside the dumpster. There was some article of clothing that we collected, and we collected plastic bags, fiber material that we saw in the basement, latex gloves, some clothing, a pair of men's pants. They were draped across the kitchen chair, and a black, I think it was a hoodie that was in the basement, on a bench in the basement.
You got to keep your voice up.
I'm sorry. Thought it was up.
It's not.
Now, going back to the dumpster at 18541 Fielding, was there anything covering the dumpster?
There was nothing covering the dumpster. However, in front of the dumpster there was a pile of branches, tree branches, that did not follow that they were placed there.
Permission to approach, Your Honor?
You may.
And for purposes of the record, I have shown these exhibits to Mr. Weitzman.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to hand you what have been marked as proposed exhibits 3 through 55. Officer Fitzhugh, did you previously look through those photos?
I did.
And are you able to tell us whether those were photos taken from both scenes 18541 and 18532 Fielding?
Yes, ma'am.
And those were taken as you processed the scene on December 14, 2015?
Correct.
People would move for the admission of proposed exhibits 3 through 55.
Any objection?
No objection.
Then they are admitted. Number 3 through
55.
Thank you.
Ask to get a copy of those.
You should have one of these.
I didn't get it.
You need one of this? Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. And at some point, are you going to publish those?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Fitzhugh, when you went to the scene, the dumpster that you went to was behind the house. Do you know what the address of that house was?
No, I don't. It had no address on it.
All right. Was the ground, it was filled with debris and leaves and that sort of thing over at that house?
And it was wet from recent rains.
That was my next question. It was wet from recent rains. The ground soft?
The ground was soft.
Soft, spongy. Did you see a track? Did you note a track that the dumpster that was in the back of the house made?
Well, there appeared to be a track along what would be the south side of the house, between the house and the fence line from the sidewalk to the rear of the house.
Okay. Was that photographed or documented in any way, do you know?
My sergeant photographed it, yes.
Do you know whether any, what do they call it, not models, that sort of thing were made of that, impressions made of that area? The
No.
track?
No.
You looked in the container?
The dumpster, yes, sir.
The dumpster. About how much time did you spend looking in it?
I don't know, we were there for about 2 hours. We were there until 8:25 in total.
Did you handle the body or its clothing that were in the container at all?
No. The only thing we did was cut the rope, leaving the knot in place. We cut the rope from the
body.
From the body.
There was debris in the container besides the body, is that correct?
The only thing that I could tell from what I saw was the body and 2 bags of clear plastic with what appeared to be fiberfill material.
And that was around the body?
One was on top and one was further inside the dumpster.
Further inside the dumpster?
Correct.
You don't know how it was put in or placed or when, do you?
No, I don't.
You then went across the... Did you handle that material at all yourself, or did somebody...
Inside the dumpster?
Yes.
No. Other than photograph it, no.
Other than photograph it?
Correct.
Which are in the exhibits that you have?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went across the street. What brought you across the street?
Homicide and their investigation. While we were processing the initial scene, they approached me and indicated that when we were finished with the location that we were at, they wanted us to come across the street to 18532 building, which we did.
And you went in there.
Correct.
You got permission to do so?
The homeowner gave us permission to come in, yes.
Who was that?
I don't know.
And you found some plastic containers that you thought were similar?
Plastic bags, yes.
Plastic bags.
Correct.
And you took those and marked those as evidence?
Correct.
And some fiber film material, is that how you'd characterize it?
In the basement, yes, sir.
In the basement. Was there blood or anything like that at the scene at that house?
I didn't observe any blood, no.
Did you observe anything that you, in your experience as a crime scene investigator, would characterize as evidence of foul play?
Inside the address of 18532?
Yes.
Just things that would match what we had in the dumpster.
Other than a relationship that is a similarity between what you saw in the dumpster and what you saw in the house, there was nothing evidencing foul play in the house?
I'd say no.
Right. No evidence of a struggle within the house?
I didn't see one.
Things tipped over or evidence of that sort of thing?
No, I didn't see anything like that.
Thank you. Nothing further?
Redirect.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Officer Fitzhugh. You are excused.
At this time, Your Honor, I have with Sergeant McGinnis.
Okay, earlier, and then counsel, I need to make sure that I have everything. Okay. And so you have one more witness to call, an essential witness who is not with you today because he's out
He's ill.
That's correct. And so the parties look at Monday, the 22nd, to conclude this examination.
It's not a good day for me.
I'm actually starting a trial on Monday, Your Honor. It should last 3 days.
I'm available on both Thursday and Friday morning for as long as is required.
The 25th is a better day, and morning would be better.
That's fine.
Does that work for you, Ms. Logan?
I'll make it work.
Okay, so we're going to adjourn to February 25th. And let's do it at the 10:30 work for the parties?
Yes.
Or would you like the 8:30 slot? I'm here. First come, first serve. And I'm generally sitting an hour waiting on people to come.
We'll do
Actually,
8:30.
I would like the 8:30.
Let's do 8:30. Okay, anything else on behalf of the people at this time?
No, I'll publish these to the
You
court
may do
now.
so. Anything else on behalf of the defendant at this time?
No, no.
Okay. Thank you, then we are adjourned.
Can I get a copy of that before we move on?
Copy of what?
The video. DVD.
Of the crime scene photos?
Yeah.
CD.
See.
Okay, the deputies will tell the individuals how to leave the courtroom at this time. Is there a deputy in the room? Okay, so officer, can you just make sure?